You're not even fit to shine her shoes." That's what my mother told me loud enough for the clinking glasses and silverware to stop midair. My father didn't flinch. He nodded like she had spoken the truth of the universe. Emma smirked over her wine, savoring the moment. The room tilted, silence pressing on my chest. For years, I'd swallowed words, let their favoritism crush me, but not tonight. I pushed back my chair, my hand steady on the table. 6 words slipped out sharp as a blade. "Then ask Emma to pay your bills." The air cracked open, and nobody moved. The silence after my words felt like a vacuum, every candle flame flickering in its own panic. But let me back up, because that night, that dinner, wasn't the beginning. It was the breaking point. To understand why my mother's words cut so deep, why my father's nod still burns in my memory, and why Emma's smirk was sharper than any knife you need to know what came before. My name is Nora. I'm 28 years old, and I've spent most of my life being the invisible child. Not the star, not the disappointment, just the spare. The one who picked up shifts at the hospital while everyone else was clapping for Emma's latest achievement. The one who stayed home when everyone went on family trips. The one whose name never made it into the toast. I work nights in the ICU, 12-hour shifts that leave my bones aching, my hair pulled into a messy bun, my scrubs smelling faintly of disinfectant. I hold people's lives in my hands, literally, and somehow in my family's eyes, that has never been enough. I've walked out of a patient's room after shocking a heart back into rhythm, adrenaline still burning through me, only to come home and hear Emma's got a new job title. You should be proud of her. Emma, my younger sister. 2 years younger, 2 lifetimes easier. She's always been the golden one, the daughter they parade around like a trophy. Every report card of hers was hung on the fridge. Every minor achievement was a reason to book a dinner, buy a cake post, a photo. She grew up knowing applause was waiting for her no matter what she did. I grew up knowing silence. The favoritism wasn't subtle. It was loud, obvious, relentless. I was the one who picked up student loans, juggled tutoring on weekends, and still managed to put money into my parents' account when bills piled up. Emma. Her loans were magically taken care of. Her vacations were fully funded. Her mistakes were smoothed over before she ever felt their weight. I can still smell the roasted chicken from that night, see the expensive wine glasses lined up like a shrine to Emma's success. I had walked in straight from a night shift, my shoulders heavy, my scrubs wrinkled. She walked in, glowing in a dress that probably cost my entire grocery budget. My father leaned forward on every word she spoke. My mother hung on every detail. And me, I sat in the wobbly chair at the end of the table, the one nobody else wanted. That's the stage we were on, Emma as the star, me as the understudy no one noticed, until I decided to stop playing my part. It started small, the kind of slights you almost convince yourself to ignore. A look held too long a compliment withheld a casual dismissal disguised as a joke. But then came the blows you couldn't ignore, the kind that leave bruises you can't see. 2 weeks after that dinner, I was on my lunch break at the hospital sitting in the staff lounge with stale coffee and the hum of vending machines when I opened Instagram. The screen lit up with a photo that didn't feel real. At first, my parents, Emma and her boyfriend, standing under palm trees, the ocean glowing behind them. Big smiles, sunglasses matching resort cocktails with little umbrellas. The caption read, "Family getaway," just what we needed. My thumb hovered over the phone numb. Nobody had said a word to me about a trip. Not a hint, not a question if I could join. My heart pounded as I scrolled Emma building sandcastles, my dad snorkeling, my mom holding Emma's hand on a sunset walk. I wasn't just missing from the photos. I was erased. I called my mother, my voice shaking. "You're in Hawaii." "Oh, Nora." She sighed like I'd caught her in a minor lie. "We didn't think you could get time off work. You're always so busy with those night shifts. You didn't even ask," I whispered. It was last minute. Emma needed to decompress after starting her new job. "You understand?" I hung up before the heat in my chest turned into tears. Hours later, Emma texted, "Sorry, thought you knew. You're always working anyway. Didn't think you'd want to come." I wasn't angry, I was gutted. There's a difference. And yet the real humiliation came weeks later at her birthday. They rented out the most expensive restaurant in town, crystal chandeliers, velvet chairs, a guest list of 50 people all there to celebrate Emma, the rising star. I arrived straight from a 12-hour shift, hair pinned back, my nicest dress still looking cheap next to rows of designer gowns. Mom stood at the center of the room, glass raised. A toast to our Emma. She's always had the talent, the drive, the future. Some people are just born to succeed. The room erupted with applause. Emma glowed like she was on stage, eating up every clap. Then Mrs. Chen, one of Mom's friends, leaned over to me and asked, "And what do you do?" "Nora." Before I could open my mouth, Dad laughed. She's still figuring things out, works at the hospital, but Emma's the one really going places. My cheeks burned. I worked in the ICU saving lives, making more money than Emma had ever touched. But in that room, I was nothing more than the blurry background to her spotlight. I smiled tightly, swallowed my rage, and clinked my glass. But something inside me snapped that night, quietly, silently. And I knew this wasn't just favoritism anymore. This was war dressed as family. The birthday humiliation could have been the worst of it. But life has a way of pulling the rug twice when you're already on the floor. A week later, I was helping my mother sort through a stack of bills at her kitchen table. The house smelled faintly of lemon cleaner, the blinds half closed. She handed me envelopes absent-mindedly, her focus elsewhere, and I started making neat piles: utilities, credit cards, mortgage statements. Then I saw it. Student loan bills. Emma's name printed in bold across the top. Every single one stamped, paid in full. My chest tightened as I shuffled through them. $45,000 in debt gone. My hands trembled as I flipped to the payment history. The money hadn't come from Emma. It hadn't come from my parents' income either. The account numbers matched the same bank account where I'd been depositing money every month for the mortgage. My voice cracked when I confronted her. "You used my money. You used my money to pay her loans." She didn't look ashamed. She didn't even look up. Emma needs to focus on her career growth. She can't be weighed down by debt right now. You have a stable job. You can handle responsibility. I've been drowning in my own loans, I said, my throat raw. Working nights, weekends, tutoring every spare shift, and you use my mortgage payments for Emma. Nora, she said flatly, "Don't be selfish. Family helps family. Emma's success benefits us all." I couldn't breathe. The walls felt smaller, the air heavier. All this time I thought I was keeping a roof over their heads. Instead, I had been bankrolling Emma's entire lifestyle while breaking myself in half. The next day at work, I sat in the break room staring at the numbers I'd scrawled on a legal pad. That's when Jennifer, the charge nurse, slid into the chair across from me. She didn't sugarcoat. She never did. "You're literally paying for her life while they treat you like a failure," she said, tapping the pad. "This isn't family support, Nora. This is financial abuse." She helped me run the math. Over 2 years, I had funneled $47,000 into that house. Not just the mortgage, but Emma's loans, her car payments, even her credit cards. The numbers didn't lie. They sat there cold and merciless, staring back at me like proof of a crime. Something hardened in me that day, the kind of resolve that comes when you've been stripped bare when there's nothing left to lose. I stopped paying the mortgage and waited for the storm I knew was coming. The calls started within a week. First it was my mother, her voice tight brittle. "Nora, the bank called. The mortgage payment's late. Is something wrong with your account?" Then my father, angrier. "This family depends on you. Don't you dare let us down." Even Emma called for once, her voice tinged with worry. "Nora, Mom's freaking out. Just make the payment, okay? You know I can't handle this kind of stress right now." Stress. The word made me laugh out loud, bitter and sharp. I had been carrying their stress on my back for years, and they never even noticed. Now with one missed payment, they were unraveling. That was when I said it, calmly, even kindly. "Let's have dinner. Saturday night. Let's talk about financial contributions." They agreed immediately, probably imagining they could guilt me back into line. They thought I was scared. They thought I was weak. They didn't know I had spent the last 2 weeks building my arsenal. Saturday came with the same choreography my family had always practiced. My mother cooked an elaborate meal, roast beef, mashed potatoes, the works, thinking food could soften me. My father uncorked a bottle of wine, trying to set the mood, like this was a celebration instead of an intervention. Emma swept in late, her diamond engagement ring, flashing ready to announce more wedding plans. I sat down quietly, folder in my bag, heart steady for the first time in months. Dinner went as expected. They laughed, they toasted. They pretended everything was fine until my father cleared his throat and began the lecture. Nora, we need to talk about responsibility, family obligations. You can't just stop paying because you're having some emotional crisis. My mother leaned in, her tone sharp. This family depends on you. Emma's building her future, and we all need to sacrifice so she can succeed. Emma nodded, smug and certain, like she was the queen in some play we were all forced to perform in. Then my mother looked at me with that same cold sneer, the same words she'd spit weeks before. You'll never be as good as your sister. I pushed back my chair, slow and steady, my hands calm on the table. Then ask Emma to pay your bills. Silence. You could hear the clock ticking in the hallway. I reached into my bag, pulled out the thick folder, and laid it on the table. Page after page landed in front of them with a soft thud that echoed louder than any shout. I've paid $47,000 into this family. Over the last 2 years, I said, my voice clear, unwavering. Your mortgage, Emma's student loans, her car payment, even her credit card bills when she overspent. Every dollar documented, every lie exposed. Emma's face went pale. She picked up one of the statements, her hand trembling, eyes darting over the numbers. Mom, Dad, I didn't know. I thought you were helping me. Of course she didn't know. That was the cruelty of it. They'd let her believe she was the golden child, the success story, while I funded her entire life. My father's face flushed crimson. He snatched a page, scanning it like he could will the numbers to change. This doesn't mean anything. We're family. Families help each other. No, I said, slamming my palm lightly against the papers. This isn't family. This is theft dressed up as love. My mother started to speak, excuses tumbling from her mouth, but I cut her off. You told me I'd never be as good as Emma. You said I wasn't fit to shine her shoes, yet it's been my money keeping this house standing. My money paying her debt. My money covering your mistakes. Tell me who's carrying who. The room went dead still. Emma was crying openly now, mascara streaking her cheeks, staring at the truth in black and white. My father's shoulders sagged. My mother's face twisted, searching for control she no longer had. You wanted a successful daughter, I said, my voice shaking now, but not from fear, from fury, from freedom. Well, here she is, the nurse who makes $89,000 a year, the woman who's been accepted into a nurse practitioner program, who's about to break 6 figures. You didn't want to see it. You wanted Emma to be the star, but you built her spotlight on my back. Nobody spoke. The silence was suffocating. I gathered the papers back into my folder, each page sliding into place like a final nail in their coffin. Then I stood, pushing my chair back without another word. The mortgage stops now, I said, my voice calm, final. Emma can pay her own bills, and so can you. I walked to the door, my footsteps steady, each one, pulling me further from years of invisibility. Behind me, I heard Emma sob. My father mutter my mother's sharp inhale like she was drowning. But I didn't turn back. Not this time. When the door shut behind me, it was the loudest sound of my life. I didn't go back after that night. Not for Sunday dinners. Not for birthdays. Not even when Emma tried calling me 3 days later. Her voice cracking through the voicemail. Please, Nora, can we just talk? I moved to another city within 2 weeks. The hospital there welcomed me with open arms, offering a nurse practitioner position and a salary I'd only dreamed of before, $120,000 a year. For the first time, I was valued for my skill, my experience, my dedication, not measured against someone else's reflection. Meanwhile, back at home, the cracks I'd predicted widened fast. Without my payments, the mortgage slipped behind. 6 months later, the house went into foreclosure. My parents, who once sat so high on their throne of judgment, were forced to downsize to face the kind of struggles they'd always dumped onto me. Emma's world collapsed too. Her engagement fell apart when her fiancé realized the vacations, the lifestyle, the glow he thought was hers had all been propped up by me. The moment the money disappeared, so did he. She called me again, then sobbing, begging for help. But I didn't answer. Because here's the truth, I was never the weak one. I was never the failure. I was the foundation. And once I pulled that foundation away, the castle they built on lies came crashing down. Walking away didn't hurt the way I thought it would. For years, their silence had been a knife. But this new silence, the silence of finally being free, wasn't painful. It was peaceful. I built a new life surrounded by colleagues who respected me, friends who saw me people who didn't need me to prove my worth with receipts, and I finally understood success isn't about being chosen, praised, or paraded. Success is knowing your own value and never letting anyone make you pay to prove it. Sometimes the greatest act of strength is walking away. I thought I needed their approval to matter, but what I really needed was my own respect. I gave everything, my money, my energy, my loyalty, only to be told I'd never measure up. But the day I stopped paying for their dreams and started investing in mine was the day I finally won. If you've ever felt like the invisible one in your family, know this: you are not alone. Your worth doesn't come from their praise, it comes from you. Tell me in the comments, have you ever had to choose between family loyalty and your own self-worth? And don't forget to subscribe. More stories are coming.